Chapter 2: Ethical Theories in Business. At the end of this topic you should be able to understand 1. Adapt consequentialist ethical theories. 2. Utilize non-consequentialist theories. 3. Apply the concepts of moral development in ethical perspective. Let's explore the chapter.
Hi everyone, welcome back to our business ethics class. Today we're diving straight into topic 2, ethical theories in business. So, have you ever faced a situation where you had to choose between doing what feels right and doing what gives you the absolute best outcome? In the business world, these kinds of ethical decisions happen every single day. And the crazy thing is, sometimes there is literally no perfect answer. Okay, let's jump right into this explainer and check out some really fascinating frameworks that are going to help you navigate these impossible choices.
All right, picture this. A runaway trolley is speeding down the train tracks. It's heading straight toward 5 people who are stuck and cannot get out of the way. But you're standing right next to a lever switch. If you pull that switch, you can divert the trolley onto a different track, completely saving those 5 people. But here's the catch. There is one lone person standing on that side track, and if you pull the switch, the trolley is going to hit them instead.
So here's the ultimate question. What would you do? Do you pull the switch, actively causing the end of one life just to save 5? Or do you do nothing and just let 5 people perish? Take a quick second to think about it, because whatever you choose, you are making a massive moral choice. You see, when real-world outcomes and strict rules collide, things get incredibly complicated, and that is exactly why we need the toolkit we're discussing today.
Here's our roadmap for today's class. First, consequentialist theories. Second, utilitarianism versus egoism. Third, non-consequentialist theories. Fourth, cons ethics. And finally, number 5, prima facie and moral rights. Let's get into it.
Starting off with section 1, focus on the consequences. And if you chose to pull that trolley switch earlier, you're probably already in this camp.
Consequentialism is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It focuses purely on the consequences. In this framework, the end result is the only thing that really matters. It's not about the action itself, but what happens because of it. If the result is good, then the action is considered good. But if the result causes harm, the action is considered wrong. It's all about maximizing a useful value, like overall happiness or welfare.
Now, you might be wondering, who exactly are we evaluating these consequences for? Well, consequentialism splits into 2 main branches. On one side, we have egoism, which is about pursuing your own best long-term interests. And on the other, we have utilitarianism, which is all about creating the greatest good for the greatest number of people. Let's break both of these down.
First up is egoism. Imagine you and another person are trapped on a deserted island and there's only one coconut left. Under the theory of egoism, you act morally when you promote your own best long-term interests. Basically, a personal egoist claims they should just pursue what's best for them, like hoarding that one coconut so they can survive without worrying about what anyone else should do. It's kind of like a survival of the fittest mindset, but applied to ethics. Now, zooming out to look at all of society brings us to utilitarianism. English philosophers Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill founded this theory, and it's based on the Latin word utilis, which literally means useful. They argue that the most ethical decisions are the ones that generate the most benefits for the largest number of people. Utilitarians are constantly weighing the ratio of pleasure versus pain, always trying to maximize the overall happiness in any given situation. So how do we actually apply this in the real business world? Well, Bentham gave us a really practical 3-step mathematical approach. Think of it as an ethical calculator. Step 1, you identify all your possible actions. Step 2, you estimate the pain and pleasure, so the costs and benefits, for each of those actions. And finally, step 3, you just select the action that produces the greatest amount of good. Sounds super logical, right? Let's apply this to a real-world policy decision, like deciding whether to increase or maintain a highway speed limit. If we increase it, the benefit is reduced travel and delivery times, which means fewer broken laws and higher business profits. But the cost? Greater fuel consumption, more pollution, and tragically, higher fatalities. On the flip side, if we maintain the lower limit, we prevent pollution and save lives, but business owners lose out on profit. A utilitarian has to weigh all these short-term and long-term costs against the benefits and decide which path brings the greatest mathematical good to society. It seems like a totally solid system, doesn't it? But here's the major flaw we have to talk about. What if the greatest good requires you to do something absolutely terrible? For example, what if a company engineer can save $10 million by cutting a safety corner, knowing it'll eventually cause an accident that kills 5 people, but it saves the company and keeps thousands of people employed? By focusing solely on the group, utilitarianism completely ignores the worth of the individual. It can literally be used to justify terrible abuses, just as long as the majority benefits.
All right, that brings us to Section 2, Deontology, Duty and Rules.
Welcome to the opposing camp, non-consequentialism, which is also known as deontology. Now, the word deontological actually comes from the Greek word deon, meaning duty. In this framework, the morality of an action is judged purely on whether it adheres to the rules, duties, or obligations, completely regardless of the consequences. Here, you do the right thing simply because it is the right thing to do. No exceptions. If an action is wrong, like lying or harming someone, it is always wrong, even if doing it would somehow create a fantastic result.
The absolute rockstar philosopher of this theory is Immanuel Kant. He believed that the only thing in the world that is unconditionally good is goodwill. According to Kant, having goodwill means strictly following the moral law out of a pure sense of duty. You don't do something good just because you want a reward or a good outcome. You do it because you ought to do it. And Kant gave us this sort of golden rule called the categorical imperative. It sounds fancy, but in simple terms, it means before you act, ask yourself, would I be okay if every single person in the world acted exactly the same way I am about to act? If your answer is no, then the action is unethical. You absolutely cannot make a special exception for yourself just because it's convenient.
Kant actually gave us 3 strict conditions to test our actions: universality, impartiality, and equality. Let's apply this to a tough, real-world issue, like child labor. A utilitarian might try to argue that child labor provides income for starving families and boosts the economy, creating a greater good. But under Kant's rules, no way. It is strictly unethical, because we have a universal duty to protect children. Child labor treats kids merely as tools for profit, which totally violates their equality and well-being. So it's inherently wrong, regardless of any economic benefits.
Moving on to Section 3, the Everyday Toolkit.
So what happens when these extreme theories clash in the real business world? Well, a great bridge is the concept of a prima facie obligation. Now, prima facie just means at first glance. This concept says that we all have basic everyday obligations that are absolutely binding on the surface. You must follow them unless, and this is the key part, unless they are overridden or trumped by a more important moral duty in a specific situation. Here is a super reliable checklist for ethical business behavior. These are our prima facie duties. We have fidelity, which is keeping your promises and contracts; reparation, meaning making up for injuries; gratitude, which is simply being thankful; non-injury, meaning not harming others; beneficence, which is proactively doing good; and finally, justice, meaning distributing benefits fairly. In business, you really should aim to fulfill all of these. But when they clash, you have to carefully weigh which duty is the heaviest.
Let's look at a quick relatable example. Say a classmate helped you get a really high score in math. Well, prima facie gratitude means you now have a duty to be thankful and maybe help them in return, like say helping them pass their accounting exam. It's a simple, everyday moral binding that keeps our social and business relationships running smoothly.
Finally, we have to talk about moral rights. As you step into your business career, this framework is all about protecting your integrity. Moral rights are basically justifiable claims and entitlements that we all possess simply because we are human beings worthy of respect. Think about the right to life, safety, and respect. In business ethics, a lot of the big social issues are actually just discussions about protecting these fundamental moral rights from being violated for profit.
But, as we've seen today, moral rights will inevitably conflict in the workplace. For instance, your right to privacy might clash with your employer's right to secure their company data. And when this happens, there's no magic formula to solve it. Careful analysis, balancing the consequences, remembering your prima facie duties, and engaging in solid moral argumentation. Those are the best tools you have.
And that brings us to the end of this explainer. We've gone from the runaway trolley problem all the way to Kant's strict rules and finally to your everyday ethical toolkit. So I want to leave you with one final thought. When moral rights inevitably clash in your future career, which framework are you going to choose? Are you going to focus purely on the outcome, or will you stick firmly to the rules? Think deeply about it, because your answer will completely define your legacy in the business world. Thanks so much for hanging out with us, and we'll see you next time.